Nottinghamshire's Police and Crime Commissioner has warned that domestic violence will rise sharply as families are forced into isolation. A charity that helps victims in Leicester has told us it's already struggling to get victims into refuges. Our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Ball reports.
The Xynthia Trust, a lifeline for women who are terrified that home isn't safe. This charity is relatively small, but says in the last fortnight it's been approached by almost 40 victims of domestic violence, a noticeable rise that's coincided with the coronavirus restrictions. The pleas for help are coming from women stuck at home with violent partners or extended families, losing contact on the school run or the shops, and sometimes losing their jobs too.
Most of the women who are losing their livelihoods, working in factories or under zero-hour contracts in catering establishments, they've lost, and that's putting additional pressures on the families. Some are very scared. For example, I got a Facebook message this morning saying she's stuck at home with 2 children with an alcoholic partner. So that's in itself is a threat to their lives.
Police forces say they're receiving more reports about domestic violence too, and they're expecting that to intensify as enforced isolation goes on for weeks.
In China, for example, there's evidence to suggest that domestic violence went up 3 times during the period of quarantine there. I don't think it will be that different here. I think we'll see a big rise because people are confined in the house together, and of course people can't go to the pubs and clubs, so there's a lot of drinking at home, and drinking and alcohol has always been tied up with domestic violence.
And if it's a very high-risk case, we would try to move them into a refuge in a normal situation. But unfortunately, most of the refuges are not taking because they are full, but also the helplines are completely chock-a-block and we can't get through. Most of them are stuck.
And as those charities struggle, Paddy Tipping has clear advice for domestic violence victims. If you can't get help from support groups, then call the police.
More updates from Jeremy. Now, our police forces, they've been given tough new powers, haven't they?
They have. In fact, a new emergency law came into force this afternoon. Now, that's to force people to stay at home, to stop non-essential travel, even so that parents stop their children from breaking the rules. And what it means is that the police can now order you to go home. They can use reasonable force. There are fines starting at £30. If you refuse to give your details, that's now an arrestable offence. And the government says these are emergency rules that are going to be reviewed every 3 weeks, but they are proportionate because there's now such a serious threat to public health.
That's quite something, isn't it? Any reaction here in the East Midlands?
Yeah, Leicestershire's Police Commissioner Willie Bark tonight has called this a seismic change, and he says such restrictions on freedom of movement, freedom of assembly are unprecedented but absolutely necessary. Now, we saw why, again, in Derbyshire this afternoon, where the police say people have been continuing to go and visit the Peak District. Reaction to in Nottinghamshire from the Police Commissioner there, Paddy Tipping, who hopes that people will comply with these rules and that those fines and those arrests are going to be few and far between.
All right, Jeremy, thank you.